Common sense isn't gone. It just needs a comeback. Common Sense Superheroes with David and Greg.
Mama say, mama sa, mama goose. Mama say, mama sa, mama goose. Mama say, mama sa, mama goose. I have no idea what he's really saying there, but that's Michael Jackson, and the movie comes out today, and I want to watch it really, really bad, but I'm conflicted because it's kind of weird. What's up? Welcome to another episode of Common Sense Superheroes. I am your host, David. This is episode 29, and across from me is the bearded one, the king of beards, unlike the king of pops, Gregory Miller. Greg, how you doing, buddy?
29, we got to go with Jarvis Jones, one of the most deadly dogs off the
Jones.
defensive line. And you mentioned something. You said you're concerned that the Michael Jackson movie might be a little weird. And I'm trying to figure out how in the hell you'd make a Michael Jackson movie and it not be weird. That's one of the weirdest cats to ever live.
Agreed. And apparently, which I'm conflicted on this as well, because they are not covering the let's just face it, the molestation, the pedophilia part of his life, allegations, shall we say. They're not covering that. And I'm like, how can you make a movie about Michael Jackson and not have that in it?
If I can give you these clues, he was a black boy that turned into a white girl, was the most popular pop star of all time, and he liked little kids. Everybody knows it's Michael Jackson, and that's a weird story.
It is. It is. I posted that on my Facebook, and somebody hit me up and said that there's actually some sort of, I guess he signed like an NDA where he paid off these victims that said that you can't in any way can the state have any say about the young kids or talk about that whole issue in a whole. So that's why they ended up making it, but having to remake it because they added that part into it and they had to go back and take it out because it wasn't allowed legally to be inputted. That sounds a little bit like BS covering your tracks because you just want to make a feel good movie about Michael Jackson, but it's not all feel good. There's some bad stuff that happens in it as well.
No, and you and I are old enough to remember when all this stuff was first coming out. And I mean, that cat was always a weird dude. Like there was never any question about that. But when all this stuff started getting revealed, I mean, dude, this was the Epstein files 20 years before the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And none of us still really know any of the true details like we should. And I don't know, man, more and more, I'm just trying to figure out how to get this world to where we can live in reality and truth and stop covering everything up, stop bullshitting everything, stop coating things with a narrative. And let's just deal with facts and reality. I think we'd all be better off.
The truth is, and I don't even think I get an argument with this, is he was the king of pop. It is the king of pop, the number one entertainer I've ever seen in my life during my lifetime. I wasn't around for Elvis, and I get he was big too. But as far as in my lifetime, we keep going back to Barry Bonds being the best baseball player hitter we'll ever see. Michael Jackson is the best entertainer we've ever seen and we'll ever see.
With modern technology and all of the things people can do with audio visual now to sit here and go, hey, 45 years ago, still probably the best music video ever released. Thriller is untouchable.
Man.
That is an epic. Thriller is in a class by its own. And I'm not a Michael Jackson fan, but that video that's a number one. That's good stuff.
To me, it's not even his number one. For me personally, Smooth Criminal was where it's at. Smooth man, when he flips that quarter across there and it lands right in that jukebox. I can't explain to people, and I even said it on one of my other episodes, how popular Michael Jackson was. I didn't know anybody who didn't like Michael Jackson.
No, and he is, we've touched on it on a couple of other things, but he is the epitome of a performer. Like that dude, he put all he had in everything he did. He didn't have, and again, I didn't care for his music. I respect the talent. It just wasn't my style. But you can look at everything he ever released or produced and go, man, that dude was passionate about it. He's as talented as they get. And he is an artist and a performer, and there's nothing else to say. He's just a weird cat that liked to diddle kids, and that sucks.
I cared for and loved all his music. Man in the Mirror, I can't tell you how many times I lip synced that. I'm not gonna overlook the part you said diddle kids. That's kinda that's the conflicting part, and I thought it was just common now. I thought, listen, you kinda gotta take the good with the bad, and you know that's what happened, and you've watched that Finding or Losing Neverland, I think it is, or Leaving Neverland, with all those kids that their firsthand accounts in it. I thought it was no questions asked, much like Bill Cosby. You just kinda know that's what happened, and it's sad, and it diminishes his legacy. But I posted it on Facebook, and man, I got people coming out telling me that he was innocent. He was trying to call out the industry, and that's what happened, that they turned on him then. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to go down a conspiracy wormhole, especially with our friend Matt, who's on Weird Friends. Check it out. Episode 2 was released, and we were talking about the moon landing and aliens.
These are probably the same cats that'll now try to convince you that Michael Jackson and O.J. Simpson are up in heaven having coffee and laughing at all of us.
Yes, and on an island with
guilty, both of them.
I think he's guilty, and it's sad to say that because I like them so much, but I didn't know this was an argument to be had. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that he did it. He's not. He's guilty.
You know better than that, dude. We live in a world where everything's an argument to be had. I mean, you could tell somebody the sky is blue and they're liable to argue with you somehow.
Here's the funny part. So far, only people saying it, white people. All the white people on my page talking about, he's innocent. He was just being set up by the industry. He was trying to expose them, and that's what happened. Looked at him. I think I heard somebody blame the Jews. That's what always happens.
That's coming from 15 to 20 plus years of white guilt and us being guilty about everything. We can't accuse a black guy of anything these days.
I mean, was he black?
But he wasn't black by the time he was diddling kids. He was a white girl by then.
Black Michael I loved. White Michael, he got a little weird. But Black Michael was legit, son. Black and white.
That dude still spent a decade trying to convince us he'd never had any kind of plastic surgery. And I go, man, I've seen some growth spurts and I've seen puberty do some things, but I ain't never seen puberty turn a black boy into a white girl ever.
Hey, your nose don't get like that with nothing, but he's like, no, it's vitiligo. Man, there ain't that much vitiligo. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. But Eddie Griffith, the comedian, says he one time done coke with Michael Jackson, which I thought, he said he took his nose off. He said he took it off and snorted a line and then came back and put his nose back on. And he said it with such just matter of fact that I'm like, damn, that might be true. And it may be.
You know, I think there's a distinct parallel here, and I hadn't connected the dots, but we spent a whole episode talking to Matt about UFOs and aliens. Are we convinced Michael wasn't an alien?
If there's going to be an alien that looks like an alien, it would be him. He moved differently. He didn't move of human, that's for dang sure. He was subhuman.
Man. No, and it's crazy as an artist and a performer, and what I'm guessing was probably about 140-pound man at the end. That dude was an athlete. Like, he could move his body in ways that I'm not sure any of us can.
I'm not sure of the date. I think it was maybe 94, possibly 95 at the MTV Music Video Awards. And he came out and did a montage of all his hits and just did a whole 12, 13-minute concert, basically, a medley of all his hits. I dare you to watch it and not just be enthralled. The dude
I will
is
tell
a performer.
You unequivocally as a non-Michael Jackson fan, I know the performance, and that was phenomenal. And again, I even enjoyed that. I don't care for his style, but give me 30 to 45 seconds of all his hits compiled up, and with him moving around like that. Again, from an artistic and a performance standpoint, there has never been one like him, and there may never be again.
He did that one move where he hit the ball and then he did the bank head bounce when it was popular. Everybody's going crazy. Like, look at Michael doing the bank head. I knew he was still black.
For the record, the lean and Smooth Criminal was assisted. That was not natural.
It was assisted. When I found out that there's little bitty holes in the thing that they put the shoes in and the heels, and that's how they do it, I was a little upset. But I also was justified in the fact that I couldn't do it. I was like, how the hell does he do this? But now I know because I didn't put the holes in my heels and all that. Every kid tried that, much like the moonwalk. Even today, he still stands because my kids will try to do the moonwalk. My youngest was Michael Jackson, not last Halloween, but the Halloween before. That's how popular it is. We are a Michael Jackson family, and I rule the day that I have to tell them, like, hey, don't look too far into Michael's history because it ain't all good.
Well, at some point, though, your kids are going to be old enough that it'll be better for them to look into his history than yours, probably.
Yes, well, I mean,
you ain't diddle no kids, but
I'd
rather
got that part. I mean, I got some shady stuff.
Yeah, wouldn't you rather them know who he was really than who you were back in the day?
Yeah, but I mean, given the option, yeah, but let's don't compare the two.
No, I mean, no comparison. That wasn't the way that was meant.
I may have messed with a few females, but they were of age. I assure you that. Jeez, Greg trying to get me on Epstein list. My gosh.
I mean, Dave Smith, that's a pretty common name. I bet you are on there.
I'm a plant, a co-op. Did you see that it came out that Benjamin Netanyahu had cancer, allegedly?
Did. man, who knows what to believe anymore,
What's
man?
gonna
Like,
happen now is
yeah,
what I'm saying.
I don't know.
What's gonna come
That whole
out?
situation still, like, I mean, I understand where the narrative comes from, and I don't know why we did, but with the whole Netanyahu thing, people try to act like he's some sort of puppet master. Like, if you haven't paid any attention to Donald Trump and who he's been for the last 40 years in the public eye, maybe I get it. If you've seen anything, like that is one of the richest, most asshole dude. Like nobody's telling him what to do. And I promise you, as much as he cares about glory and infamy and leaving a legacy, he damn sure wouldn't be doing any of this on behalf of somebody else. He's doing this because he thinks he's leaving his mark and he thinks he's putting the country in a better position. And I know a lot of folks will disagree with that, but cancer or not, Benjamin Netanyahu is not calling the strings for us, I assure you.
Now let's go down the wormhole. Now that you've put that out there, he's a puppet master, Greg. Damn it, he's a puppet master. He's controlling the strings. And all I'm saying is, remember when all this stuff about Biden, the book came out by Jake Tapper explaining pretty much how they knew that he was senile and they still tried to cover it up. Then all of a sudden, Biden gets cancer out of nowhere that supposedly takes years and years to show up, but his showed up almost immediately at a level that it takes years to do. And a guy who was in the presidential office who gets checkups every year, it would have been caught. Then all of a sudden it just conveniently comes out when we're all bad mouthing Biden. Now what's about to come out with Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, but the premise behind all of this, and it's gotten to the point where I can't remember who said the quote, but the old saying was, if you back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, if you didn't read the news, you were uninformed. If you read the news, you were misinformed. And now, like you're uninformed and misinformed either way.
Quote.
Yeah, and I can't remember how, but like we don't know anything right now to be true, and everything that's floated out there, like I don't know. Like I feel like the more I try to dig in and the more I try to stay on top of current events, the more my head's spinning because you're just hearing stories from all different sides, conflicting reports. I hear people saying Iran's whooping our ass. And I also go, but their entire navy's at the bottom of the sea. They have no cards left to play. How are they whooping? But you don't like people are saying things with conviction and with certainty, and people are way too comfortable going on any of these social media platforms and stating something or reposting something as a fact without knowing for a damn second if it's true or not. And we are all consuming so much BS information. If BB has cancer, I'm going to send up a prayer for him because I don't care how many people hate him. I respect him. I think he's been a good leader. Look, nobody makes perfect choices all the time, but he's been a good ally for us. And that's what's most important in my world. And if he does have cancer, I'm going to pray for him, but I don't know what to believe at this point.
Greg is about to get a sponsored trip to Israel.
Well, you trying to get on Tucker's show by calling BB the puppet master. You trying to get an invite to TC?
They got to him. We need to look at the donations for Greg Miller Industries. I bet you'll see a bin in on the donor list. I know for a fact.
I'll send him my Cash App if he wants it, brother. I ain't ashamed. I ain't ashamed at all.
Giving that kind of money out. I mean, I'm just saying I can be swayed. I will try to sway the 12 people that listen. I'll get them on our side, Benjamin. We'll do it, Netanyahu. You and me together. We'll make it happen. It is funny that, when something comes out, all of a sudden you got cancer, which happened with Biden, but it happened to where all this bad publicity was coming out. Then all of a sudden he has cancer that we need to pray for, which I do. And I don't want to see Biden get cancer either, but what happened to it? I guess you're good now. You made 90 and you beat cancer easily.
The entire cancer smokescreen or releasing of accurate information, whichever it was nothing but to distract from the fact that they were finally coming out and admitting, oh yeah, he's been a vegetable for 5 years. We all knew it. And now we're admitting it. Well, no, we all knew it and we're telling you the whole time. But the other side of that is, like you said, he's the president of the United States. I promise you, he's getting checkups every 4 to 6 months. There is no way that this is some random pop-up of cancer at that stage, at that point in his life that hadn't been known about or discussed. And there again, when on beliefs, ballots, and bets, one of my tips the other day was, when somebody repeatedly shows you who they are, believe them. Like they're telling you who they are. Just listen to them.
Maya Angelou over here, everybody.
The entire media, and especially the left-wing media, they've told you who they are for the last 10, 12, 15 years. They don't care about the truth. They care about the narrative. That's it. Believe that is the truth. They have told us who they are.
We got to get to the bottom of it, Greg. We got to know this Epstein list. Also, If you are sitting here complaining about us talking about the Epstein list and how we're overlooking it and just which we're not by no means, but you're sitting here saying that we're supporting Trump because he is a pedophile, even though it hasn't been proven. Your ass better not go to the Michael movie. Is all I'm saying. You better not go to the Michael movie because you can't be that hypocritical.
I'm a little ashamed I hadn't come to this circular logic before with the whole Epstein, and I've always asked myself, okay, well, how if they're so convinced that DT is in this thing and they've got something on him, why in the hell did they have it for 4 years with total control and not release it? And I started thinking about it, and now it actually makes sense because and again, I have no inside information. Take that for what it's worth.
You've heard who he's donored by.
But
He gets on a flight to Israel, you know what's talking.
We do know they had access to it, and common sense said if he was in it, they would have released it. Maybe they didn't release it because they knew it would vindicate him and clear him, and they could wait until he got back in charge, and now they can raise hell because now they're saying it's on him. And I think it's a lot of the Democrats dragging their feet because they don't want it released either. But I think that's probably why they didn't, was because they wanted, if he's not in there and they released it, then they have no leverage against him at all anymore because they can't keep making that insinuation. So I don't know why I didn't think about that sooner, but that's the only reason I can think of why, if he's in it and they didn't release it, that doesn't make any sense because they would have used anything they could. But if he's not in it, that explains perfectly why they didn't release it for the 4 years they had total control.
Well, because if you don't have it, if you aren't in control of it, like they aren't now, they can say, "Well, he's hiding he's hiding the ones that show that he's guilty, and he's not showing that." When they could have showed it all along, but they didn't. So it makes it no matter what you say, you could say, "Well, that's because he's redacted the parts that show he's guilty." They find they give themselves an out, no matter which way you look at it. I got to give them credit for that.
There's a philosophical trick. It's called the Kafka trap. And that's basically a situation where anything you present to somebody, whatever answer they give you, you can use that against them. And let's be real, the Democrats are real good at them Kafka traps.
Gotta give it to them.
You say, I'm not a racist. Well, that's exactly what a racist would say.
That's what a racist would say. I know. It is they're good at that. They're good.
That is what a racist would say. Damn.
And look, Trump probably has some stuff in there that he don't want to come out that not necessarily makes him guilty, but doesn't make him look good by any stretch. So he's going to try to hide something, and then hiding that makes them be like, "Oh, look, see, told you. Look, show you he's guilty." No, he don't want anything to make him look bad. Although he'll say some stuff now. He'll put something out there. I don't know, but Greg, you know who's on fire right now?
I know half our state's on fire.
Half of the state's on fire, but so are the Atlanta Braves. But let's first get to the South Georgia. Are you seeing any smoke yet? Because you're in Middle Georgia. I'm North Georgia, and I don't really see much of anything yet. But man, South Georgia and North Florida is having a time right now. We need some rain badly. If you pray for some rain.
Yeah, it's the good Lord sometimes has a way of putting things into perspective. And I've been sitting here with little sniffles and sneezes and a little sinus drainage thinking we need some rain because my allergies are jacked up. And then I go, well, we got miles after miles of square, like acres just being burned down by fire. They probably need the rain more than my allergies do.
I was watching CNN earlier because that's what I do. I like to argue and I like to be stressed, hence all my gray hair. So I'll watch CNN, and I was watching it, Wolf Blitzer, and they had a guy that was reporting down in South Georgia, Brenham County, somewhere right above Florida. And he was on some property just doing the report. And this lady started yelling at him, was like, "Get the hell off my property. Like, what are you doing on my property?" And she's right. If that was my property and I look up and I see somebody doing reports, I'm like, "Hey, get off my land right now." You don't mess up with a South Georgia person, okay? Getting on their property, especially when you're gonna wear a CNN hat in South Georgia. Not the brightest move there, Derek.
No, and I mean, let's be real. CNN has made it more than apparent what their feelings on borders and boundaries are. But that shit don't fly in South Georgia. We respect our borders and boundaries and property lines. There's probably some no trespassing signs and stuff that says you will get shot if not. Like, you don't play around in South Georgia with people's property lines, man. That's way too many people rolling around with hunting rifles and shit. Don't mess around just walking up on somebody.
I'm sitting there on my land and I see burnt down and I see somebody uninvited sitting there doing a TV report. I'm going to flip out too. And she sure enough did. It was awesome. I loved it. The lady that was for CNN, she was like, and Wolf Blitzer was saying, "We hope we get some, I'm worried about North Florida too. And I hope they get some rain." And she said, and I hope Derek gets to safety, get to some safe place. I'm like, yeah, you better hope on Derek gets somewhere because he's about to catch some buckshots in the backside. That's Andy's neck of the woods. They need to call up Andy, make sure he's okay. Now think about it, because he's down there.
I'm pretty confident in saying that the folks down there in South Georgia, other than maybe one or two that we know personally, ain't listening to the garbage we're putting out there. But I respect those people down there, and I think they would enjoy this show if they would listen, because you and I are both a little more metropolitan than those folks down there, but we still got those kind of those deep South roots. And man,
Far from it.
I can get down with my South Georgia peeps.
I can get down there quickly. Tyler Carlton, I need to worry about him. He's down in Valdosta, Lowndes County. Our coach Tyler. That's more further, I guess, east of him, but still, Valdosta's that's South Georgia. Can't get much more south than that. But I hate to transition to this. But speaking of on fire, the Braves are on fire, my friend. The Braves are just killing it. They winning series after series. Acuna is still struggling, but Michael Harris, after having a kid, has completely lit up on fire. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as we get going, what do you think happens? The injury bug. Of course it does.
Well, you unintentionally led me into this. If you had listened to yesterday's episode of Beliefs, Ballots, and Bets, you'd have had a little wager on the Braves and won some money. I went 3-0 yesterday, and that was one of my plays.
My man, I was worried because they had that rookie come up, and we've had two guys have their first starts in the last 6 days, I believe, with Fuentes and the guy yesterday, and started out, first pitch, hit out of the park, but he stuck with it. Fuentes pitched great too, gave up a couple solo shots, but that wasn't on him. He didn't get much help in the infield. Dubon and Ozzie both missed a couple, but Braves on fire, winning yet another series. They start against the Phillies tonight at home. Michael Harris heating up, on fire, hitting the long ball, and then comes out the game yesterday with a strained quad. Hopefully it's precautionary that they took him out, but you hate to see a guy that's lit up and then get taken out of the game. But
well, and it's kind of like we talked about a couple of days ago when we were talking about their hot start, and it's it's one of the reasons why it's so important to get off to the kind of start they did this year as opposed to last year. And look, I mean, baseball is a long season. 162 games is a long damn time. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have slumps. You're going to have all kinds of ups and downs. But it's nice to get out to a nice hot start. Like you said, hopefully Money Mike's not too banged up and can get back in the lineup either today or the next couple of days. But I mean, I've started kind of tuning in a little bit since getting home from Mexico. I was a fan of the way the team was constructed when you and I did our preseason, special. I like the potential of this team. But there's some guys that are going to have to step up. There's some young cats that are going to have to carry the weight until we get some of the other guys back. But no, right now it's looking like it's going to be a fun year, and it's looking like I wish I had bought my Chop House season tickets this year instead of last year.
Greg, we could have been at the game every night. We could have had a live on remote, even though we don't have the remote material or equipment, but still. Raziel Iglesias started out again on fire, looking great, and now he's on the 15-day DL with, I want to say, oblique. Is it oblique? So I don't know. So. Maybe shoulder, oblique, but I feel like it's something. I'm like, please, I'm not pulling the caution flag just yet. But man, it seems like so reminiscent of the past few years where we just can't seem to stay healthy. And Baldwin continues to be on fire. Strider pitched the other day in Gwinnett, had about 4 or 5 good innings, had 8 Ks, looked great, only threw 1 walk. Murphy started for the Gwinnett Stripers, trying to get a little rehab assignments. Didn't look so hot. I think he struck out 3 times, but takes a little longer. But Strider's starting out, heating up. I expect to see him back, probably start in the next week or so.
Yeah, I think part of the whole injury frustration is, I think a lot of it has to do with perspective. You notice everything that the Braves do, and we don't necessarily notice it for every other team like that. Like I have found it myself over the last couple of years. Maybe it's a sign of actually a little bit of maturity finally sinking in, but I used to always ask myself, man, why does it feel different watching a Georgia game on Saturday than any other game on Saturday? And it's because with the Georgia game, I am living and dying with every play, every yard, every penalty, and I just don't care that much about the rest of it. And I think that's kind of how we view the Braves. We know every little injury, every strained oblique, every hamstring. And so it feels like, man, we just can't catch a break. And, I don't want to give any credit to them, but I bet if you were a Mets fan or a Phillies fan, you probably feel the same way. You probably feel like they're cursed with injuries and they've always got somebody out.
Sorry for you if you are on either one of those. F the Phillies, F the Mets. I don't hate many teams, but I do not like them teams at all.
Well, I'll
That's
give
my
you
fandom showing up.
I'll ruin your morning and tell you that when Haley and I were in New York a few years ago and went to a Mets Braves game in Citi Field, spectacular experience. Citi Field is
Really.
phenomenal.
It looks like
yeah.
actually is a phenomenal looking ballpark.
I mean, and
It's pretty cool.
coming from growing up in Middle Georgia, where I always had to ride an hour up to the Brave Stadium or whatever. And again, I love New York City in small doses, 3-4 nights at a time maximum. Man, that's cool to be able to hop on the subway and just get off the subway stop and just walk right out there. There's City.
It's how it's supposed to be,
it's a
man.
special experience. And truth be told, I had my Braves hat on. Everybody was pretty polite. Like I was treated rather cordially. Now, I don't go looking to start nothing, but it was a good experience. And despite what most of us down here kind of think about New York City and especially the Mets, I got to give them props, man. It was a fun time. It was a good game, and the Braves won.
I appreciate the Mets because you watch Seinfeld and you kind of get into the Mets, and then you watch King of Queens, my other favorite show, and you're like, oh man, the Mets. It just seems New York. It seems not like the Yankees are like fancy big city. The Mets are your blue collar looking guys, and that's kind of what you always root for. And if you haven't seen the 30 for 30, pretty sure it's 30 for 30 episode or series they did on the 86 Mets. Wild crew, my gosh. Man,
hey, Doc Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, Lenny Dykstra, Keith Hernandez.
Rough bunch. The history was not kind to them, but a great series, and I loved it. That was one of the first World Series champions that I can remember. Like, I was probably 8 at the time, and that's when you start remembering those teams having watched them. And that's one of the first ones that I recall. Winning the World Series was the 86 Mets, and it was a great series.
Just for kind of an emotional, philosophical little experiment here. Can you imagine Len Dykstra in today's clubhouse?
Good gosh.
With all the prima donnas and $500 million players. Can you imagine Nails up in there like dirty as hell, probably hadn't showered in 3 days, all jacked up on speed and meth and whatever else he could get his hands on. And these guys are all in here.
Gotta chew this huge.
And these guys are all in there with their protein shakes and their peptides and taking shit seriously and trying to be real athletes. And that ain't how Nails roll, brother.
He's the closest thing that we've seen to Ty Cobb. From the stories you hear about Ty Cobb, when I think Ty Cobb, I think Lenny Dykstra the same way. Man, money laundering, he did all kind of stuff. He got into car washes and ended up selling I can't remember what he all got arrested for. Tax evasion, I'm sure, and just a rough life. But Dale Strawberry had obviously a rough drug-fueled life, him and Dwight Gooding, but Strawberry now runs like a rehab center and is married and Jesus loving, just a great dude, like redemption story. Love to hear it.
I could tell you, and I'm thankful that my rock bottom wasn't the same rock bottom as Daryl's, but Jesus will find you anywhere when you reach out and say, hey, I'm ready. I promise you he will.
Well, we need Jesus to find Acuna if he hadn't, because Acuna's struggling. My man ain't got but 1 home run in like 50-something games, and that ain't like him. You can't take him out of lineup because he's got to get out of it. He's got to swing out of his funk because we know what's capable, but he is not having the best
He's going to hit 2 this weekend.
I hope it happens. That's what's happened to Harris. He hit 2 the other day and made it happen. And you were talking about, sticking with the Braves and all that, but with the MLB app that I got, I ended up getting the whole package where I can watch all the other games. And we've been watching some of the Yankees Red Sox. And with Acuna struggling, he ain't nothing like Giancarlo Stanton. My word. My boy, every time I look over there, he's 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. He is getting the golden sombrero on some nights. My man is struggling.
It's a hard thing to comprehend because I'm not entirely sure that there's anybody currently playing or maybe ever play that hits it farther or harder than that dude does
for sure
when he hits it. But man, does he have some holes in that swing.
He does. He is struggling. But like, he has a weird, you look at his swing, you're like, there's no way. But then when he hits it, I mean, you can't, it just won't stop. It just keeps going and it's missiles. But when I've
spent the last 10 years going, man, just for fun, I would love to see Giancarlo like in a home run derby with a metal bat and just take cover and just let him hit bombs.
And another one who's coming along now, but did you see the home run that O'Neal Cruz hit the other night?
Oh, dude.
He hit a
And he's a
seed.
lean, skinny dude, but that dude gets some
Yes.
bat speed like crazy.
He hit it off the top of the foul pole, like, on a line. I mean, it was just was still going up when it hit the very tip top.
Yeah,
He
I'm
like
glad for my personal pride's sake that all this stuff has really been like the true development of the physique and the athleticism has really taken off in the last 15 or 20 years. Because I can still say back in my mid-20s, I thought I was probably good enough athlete to still be competitive. I thought I could maybe go in there for a couple of games at Major League and hold my own. Now I'm looking at these cats go, hell no. Yeah, shortstops that are 6'7" and just
6'6". I was
slinging
about to
seeds.
say Ellie De
No,
La
no,
Cruz,
thank you.
6'6",
Yeah.
6'7", as is well, obviously Aaron Judge is 6'8", and O'Neal Cruz is 6'5", 6'6", something like that. Just long, lean, like,
And
what
the
do you
guy we
do?
talk
What
about
do
all
you
the time,
do?
freaking Shohei is a monster. Like,
Yes.
and that's an Asian cat. You don't expect
He
Shohei's every
wears
bit
this
of
kinda
6'5" too. Yeah,
loose-fitting uniform, so you don't think it, but then you see him,
that's a
like, out
big
there just
boy.
taking BP, you're like, "My gosh, just a mammoth of a man." He's literally Godzilla over in Japan because they're not known for being tall people or big people, and he has to be just dwarfing everybody over there, but talent-wise, he's dwarfing everybody over here. Still continue to amaze. The Dodgers, Mookie Betts, I think, is injured, but something's gotta happen for them to fall off because last I looked, they were only lost, like, 3 or 4 games.
I think the Dodgers have already like coasted into load management type shit. They're trying to cruise into the playoffs already.
They're so far ahead. Luckily, we got the Mets who are struggling on our side, and Philly's gonna always be there, but I wouldn't be surprised if, they try to return the favor tonight with that sweep that we had. But Philly's always scared me with their talent because you got Schwarber and Harper, and I supposed to dislike Harper a lot, but I'm starting to like him. His damn TikTok has got me. Him making coffee has got me wanting to like him, and I can't do that as a Braves fan. I hate the Phillies, but
I
damn
got
it.
I got some in-house beef with old Harper, man. My wife thinks he's hot and always talking. I think he looks like a damn Neanderthal. But she thinks Bryce Harper's good looking, and so I have to take beef with that because I don't think he is. And frankly, I mean, why should she even be looking at anybody else? She got this.
Yeah. Don't look at that $330 million contract you got. That doesn't help you look bad. That'll help you look good. I mean, I would be the George
Yeah,
Clooney. If I roll up with about 400 million, turns out I'm hot all of a sudden.
I
I'm the
mean,
hot
400
guy.
million is still having to wear a bandana on your head every day. Still ain't a good look.
And he's got good hair. I don't know why he does it. Speaking of Phillies and bad hair, Brandon Marsh, why you keep wetting that stuff down, dude? It just looks all stringy. It's his
It
gimmick now. He has to do it, but
that's one of those little things that you go, man, that just leads to some questions. Like, how does that get started? How does that become a thing? Why does that continue to be a thing? That's got to be a pain in the ass having to run in there and wet your hair between every inning. But hey, baseball players have always been known to be a little superstitious, man. I'm not gonna say that I didn't have certain undershirts that felt lucky, and I mean we all have our things if you play
yeah.
baseball.
Well, Brandon Marsh from Buford, Georgia, right down the road, played in the same rec department my boys playing at, which they made the All-Stars, by the way. Let's give it up to them. Again, All-Stars, very proud of.
It's a good thing they've got talent and their daddy makes them play baseball.
That's true because they damn sure don't care about it. I sure that much. I'm like, if you would put in a little work, my God, you'd be so good. But no, it ain't as cool as Forza or those car games that they want to play. And now they're doing wheelies. My boy Barrett, he can do a wheelie damn near all the way up across the street. I'm pretty proud of him. I got to give him props with that as well. You know who else needs props is Mike Vrabel's wife because she has got to be feeling it right now. Greg, I'm sure you've heard the stories and seen some of the highlights or lowlights, should I say?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all probably know that in these environments, this types of stuff goes on probably more than gets out. And so when it gets out, you're kind of stuck between, infidelity in a marriage is the worst thing you can do. I think you know better. Like you're an NFL head coach, you're a lead NFL reporter, you got cameras around, you're in like, I'm sorry, note to self, don't cheat. But if you're gonna do it, be smart about it.
Yeah. How about we don't do it? And if you're going to do it, if you're going to be with her for this long, apparently it started in like 2020. There's footage going back almost 6 years of them being together. I'm like, well, at this point, y'all just dating. Like, it ain't no affair. Hell, y'all pretty much a throuple at this point, which maybe that's the case. That's why we hadn't heard anything from the wife. But man, Diana
And
Rossini, is that how you say it?
yeah,
Is the
and
reporter.
it sounds very old school, but I mean, I think that's something that married people need to be more aware of that stuff. Like if you consistently allow yourself in those tempting situations, sooner or later it just gets harder and harder. Like, I'm pretty confident in my own self-control, and I don't have a whole lot of concerns when it comes to that. But I also know it's a lot easier if I don't go out to the bar without my wife,
Yeah.
and firstly, I like my wife. I'd rather hang out with her than anybody else anyway. But like, why put yourself in an environment where you're going to deal with that temptation and not have your spouse there as your rock to lean on? I just don't get it. And again, I've been through a divorce. Luckily, it wasn't an infidelity issue, but it's tough, man. Marriages are hard, but you gotta find a way to stay true to what you commit to. It's a covenant relationship, and that should be a big deal. And man, it's easier if you just don't put yourself in those environments. But even if you have to be in those environments professionally, you got to stay strong. You got to keep your focus on, and that's why I have a show about getting the good book every day.
I have faith in myself as far as being true to my wife, but I don't have a bunch of 9s and 10s throwing their numbers and panties at me either. So if you're a professional athlete, I don't understand why you get married. I don't get it, because that temptation is going to be tough. I'm sure it ain't like it used to be, because everybody's got cameras and stuff. But man, I would not want to do it. Wouldn't be fair to my wife if that was the case and I was going to cheat, which I'm not going to. I wouldn't. So if I do get super popular on this podcast, don't worry, Brooke. Even if they do have a bunch of 9s and 10s throwing themselves at me, I will not do it. However, if you're a young guy in your 20s, testosterone's at like 1,500, and you got a bunch of smoke shows throwing themselves at you, I would find it hard to do. But Mike Vrabel should know better. My man is older. He's been established. He's been around this game for a while. Cameras are watching you. And Diana Rossini, is that her name? Allegedly having an affair for going on 6 years now. But Mike Vrabel's in a good position as far as his job, because how
Robert Kraft can't say nothing.
How can Robert Kraft come to you and be like, listen, it's a bad look for the team. We got to take action. I'm like, hey, Robert, bro, need I remind you of Sunnyside Massage Parlor or whatever it was called? So I think he's safe, and he's skipping the rest of the draft in order to get counseling. That means I'm going to go home and my wife's going to beat my ass and make me sign a post-nup where she gets even more money. So I think that's the case, but he ain't going to get fired. But if you win this year, nobody remember anything.
But you touched on it. And you shouldn't make any excuses for infidelity on any level for any reason. But like you said, Mike Vrabel's a grown man, been married a long time, I'm sure. And I don't know, maybe I'm just old and crusty, but I'm to the point, like, I really don't even look at other women. I don't even want the temptation if it's around me. Now, granted, I married a hot young wife, and I've got something good to look at home every night, but I don't want the temptation. I don't put myself in the environment for that temptation. And if you're Mike Vrabel, I don't know what's going on in his home. I'm sure there's some underlying issues within the marriage to even have opened the door for something like this to happen. Still not an excuse, though. You're a man. You made a covenant promise in front of God and everybody. You honor that shit, and you respect your marriage.
I admittedly have taken a look once or twice at Sydney Sweeney's Instagram, maybe for research purposes only.
Well, you were looking to buy Brooke some lingerie, right?
Exactly. I was looking at that Zern or whatever it's called. I'm just looking. Maybe she wants American Eagle jeans. That's all I was doing. But I've been known to possibly look at that a time or two, and maybe a TikTok where a girl puts on the outfit of the day and she starts in her underwear, and I just watch it for more than 5 seconds and they keep popping up after that. Maybe that happens. Maybe.
Well, let me make sure I point out now, I ain't gonna go too far down the moral high road here, because this level of maturity has just happened within the last couple of years that I've just started going, you know what? I don't even want to look anymore. And again, I've got a beautiful young 36-year-old wife to lay with every night, so I'm not worried about looking for anything else. But no, just within the last few years, I have noticed myself, whether, I don't care if it's at the beach, wherever we are, like, I just don't even want to look anymore, because she's going to catch me looking and make a thing out of it. And so I know that. So it's not even worth it to catch a glance. And frankly, and I go back to, it's an old saying my pastor used to say. He goes, you can't stop the bird from flying through the barn, but you can keep him from building a nest. And if you just don't look and focus on it and let yourself think about it, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Here's a little funny story.
So Sydney Sweeney's building a nest in your head, my brother. That's going to cause a problem at some point.
Nest, boy. I'd like to see them eggs fall out. That's all I'm saying. I'd like to see that.
I'm going to pray for you.
This is back in my younger days. We'll go with this and end up. But me and Andy Wood, we went on vacation down to the beach with Miss Lovely Brooke, who was my girlfriend at the time, and he had a girlfriend at the time. We went to the beach, and this was during the Girls Gone Wild stage where all the girls thought it was cool before phones had cameras and all that good stuff. Huh?
Is Brooke on video?
She's not on video. No, let me finish. But we were down there, and it was, I don't think it was anywhere near spring break, but it was a bunch of younger guys, 20s, whatever. And there was a girl that was over there, and everybody starts circling around, and everybody knows what that means. And so we're sitting there, and we see all this circling around, and Brooke and I are, fairly new in the relationship, but I'm still a guy. I'm still got my mindset of, hey, somebody's about to show something. I'm going to see. And we see what's happening, and Andy and I are with our girls there, and all of a sudden I hear like the cheering going on. Instinctually, my mind, I just go take off and bolt to go look at boobies. I'm sorry, I did it. I couldn't help myself. And I'm thinking, to his credit, I'm thinking my buddy Andy's right beside me because, we're guys, we're dudes. I mean, I'm going to go look at anybody's boobs. That's just what I'm going to do. I look back and Andy's over there with a disappointed look or like a shocked look while my soon-to-be wife is over there like just looking just let down. She was very disappointed in me. And I'm over there just smiling and giggling with my glasses on, looking at boobies jiggle. I couldn't. It was a bad look, but thankfully she was willing to overlook that. But it was kind of bad to look back and see her looking at me.
It's crazy to think because that's kind of back in that time frame where we were all starting to hang out, and I still think the story of how the three of us became friends and they got really close for the three of us for a while, and then you had to move away, and Andy and I got pretty close. And Andy's one of those guys that, and I keep thinking, I go, I kind of want to reach out. I want to go see Andy. Like I want to catch up. But then I'm also thinking, I have Andy on such a pedestal as who he was as my friend back in the day. And I mean that like we picked on Andy mercilessly. Like he's a slow talker. He don't sound like the brightest guy in the world, but I'm telling you at the core of my being, and I'll be 48 in August. I don't know that I've ever met another dude that's as solid, as good a friend as Andy Wood was. That dude would give you the shirt off his back, probably because he just want to take his shirt off anyway, but he would literally do anything for you. And man, I'm gonna tell you, he was one of those guys, and Andy was a big boy, and I was a smart ass back in the day. I know that's hard to believe. I was always glad to have Andy around because I knew that some gun had my back no matter
He's
what.
Tough. I love that dude, man. And to his credit, he stood there and just didn't come over there. And I'm like, what are you doing? There's boobs right here, bro. Nope. He was a man. He was like just straight ahead looking with his girl. I was like, props to you, my friend. But I was over there just eyeball crazy, just whoa.
It's hard to imagine that 20 years ago we had no idea that Andy was the wise one amongst the three.
He is the wise one. Who would have thunk? And Brooke, thanks for sticking with me after seeing me out like a fool over some boobies. But hey, I love boobies. What can I tell you?
That does seem to be a kind of a continuing theme with you. Like that's at least 2 or 3 posts a week about boobs.
I'm normally a booty guy now, but
that's all me, brother. I'm legs and butt.
I ain't gonna kick boobies out the bed. Okay. No. I mean, I'm not gonna not look. Back to Sydney Sweeney. I'm just saying. That's it. Episode 29. Yeah, 29 in the books. Jarvis in the books. Common Sense Superheroes. I lost track of how many daggum shows we're doing, but go check out Weird Friends with Greg and Matthew. I was able to guest host on the thing or guest star on the thing. We talked about was going to be more moon landing, but we ended up going more into straight UAPs and aliens and UFOs.
And y'all all get on David's social media and tell him how good he was, so he'll help me. I think that show works better and flows better with 3 of us on there. So y'all try to get David to knock out a couple of episodes a month with me and Matt. It'll be fun.
If you want to feel inadequate, just listen to Matt go down through stats information. He comes prepared. He studied up on it, and I just throw out weird things that I may have heard one time that may or may not be true, and most likely not true. But I'll throw that out there, and he'll give me 7 reasons why that's not the case. So go check out the show and listen, and give Matt a follow. Does Matt even have any social media?
We're working on that.
Working on that. He knows his stuff. He gets down in a wormhole, and I love it. Weird Friends with Greg and Matt. Go check it out. Front Porch with David's coming back. Had a rough week. Baseball's been killing me, but games tonight, baby. Playoff start for the Mudcats, so go ahead and get ready. Belief, ballots, and bets. Check out every episode. I've been listening. Great stuff. You get a word, you get a little Bible in you, and you get a little knowledge when it comes to baseball. And as he said, if you'd been listening, could have won some money betting on the Braves.
If you've been listening the last couple of days, you'd be 5-1, and that don't suck.
That's pretty good. He can't bet himself because he will get divorced, but if he could, he'd probably make a little money. Go check out Greg on TikTok. Oh, never mind. Go check him out on X.
Can't do that either.
Go check him out on X, Facebook, all that good stuff. But Greg, you got anything you want to leave us with for the end of the week?
Just the usual, man. Get in your Bibles, say your prayers, tell the truth, and love each other.
Amen. Peace.
God bless.
Hey, pray for some rain for South Georgia.
Pray for me. My allergies are kicking.
I mean, I ain't gonna sing Luke Bryan, but pray for some rain, baby. All right.
He's in Athens, Georgia tomorrow.
He is.
My daughters will be. My daughters will be there with at that one. Me and my wife are going to see Bruno tomorrow. And, yeah. Haley and I are going to Bruno in Atlanta. My girls are going to Luke Bryan in Athens.
Man, concerts all over the place for the Millers. So till next time, guys, we'll have all that on Monday. See ya. Peace.